Hi, guys, and welcome to our premiere episode of Survivor Couch Potato Queens recap for Survivor Marquesas. Thank you very much. Yes,
Yay.
episode 1 and 2. I'm here with Sam Henson. Sam, how you doing today?
I am great. I am writing in like Cleopatra, ready to talk about some Marquesas episode 1 and 2.
It's
Let's do
looking
it.
so marvelous with breasts
I am
hanging
standing up.
out.
I'm telling everyone to row. My boobs
Bro,
are out.
they're out and ready to go, so we're good. All right, well, just to start and kick things off today, we're going to start by doing like a cast run through. So we'll give our first impressions just hearing the name. So we'll start first on the Road to tribe. We'll always wear blue. We're going to start with Kathy. What are your thoughts on Kathy? She's a real estate agent from Vermont.
I love Kathy, partially because she reminds me of one of my friend's moms, but she's just like, I love this archetype of such a strong kind of like woman in her 40s who like will not take any shit. And I am so here for someone like Kathy.
I love her. She's kind of like a hippie. Like I kind of see her as like a female version of Rupert a little bit, just like a tad. She's very out there, and I love every second of her. So she's fun.
Love her. She is not afraid to pee on anything, do anything, say anything. We love Kathy VO here.
She uses all of her holes, as Peter says later in the episode. Next, we have Gabriel, bartender from North Carolina. What are your thoughts on Gabriel?
He's cute. Like, I think he's like a cute boy. But other than that, I'm not really a huge Gabriel fan. He's probably honestly at the bottom of for me on this cast.
Gabriel is very season 1 to me. He's very like Greg Buis meets Gretchen, and we'll find out later in the season why. So nothing special. He's kind of hot though. Nice body. But
yeah.
There are better bodies this season. I'll just say that. Okay. Next we have Tammy. She's a crime reporter from Mesa, Arizona. What about Tammy?
I'm a big Tammy fan. She gives me major villain vibes. And I feel like there was just so much kind of untapped potential with Tammy. Not to spoil later on, but Tammy's one that has a strong personality, and I love. And I mean, I think this is something to talk about. We don't give Robin Cast too much kudos today, but she did cast season 4 of Marquesas, and I do feel that this cast is really different and put Survivor in a great direction. Like people like Tammy, they're not shown in the same light like a Jerry Manthe. They're just more able to be kind of like rounder female characters. And we start to see in Marquesas, there's lots of different types of female characters, and they're not just little girls and the nasty villains. And someone like Tammy kind of falls in the middle there.
Definitely, I agree. She's fun. She's kind of butch, and I'm loving it. So
yeah.
Giving some like butch queen realness, and I love. Next we have Pascal, judge from Georgia.
Okay. So he talks just like my former boss. And so it's a little triggering to me to listen to him talk, but you know, I feel like he's exactly what they wanted him to be. But then at the same time, later on, we'll see Pascal be a little like problematic. And I just think it's just because he's a white old man from the South. Like,
I mean, it's you see judge from Georgia, like that's a mess waiting to happen.
It's scary because I'm like cringing knowing what's to come, and I don't want to see it. Yeah.
Exactly. Next we have John Carroll, registered nurse from Omaha, Nebraska. Thoughts on John?
Love John Carroll. I think it was really important to kind of take the gay representation into a different direction, because we just saw Brandon just absolutely flame out in Survivor Africa and just be like just like very frustratingly stereotypical. And I'm so excited to see someone like John Carroll who just takes those expectations and shatters it. He's kind of the team leader. He's buff. He's smart. I really love John Carroll. I love his big ego. You know, he's one of the great kind of stories of a rise and fall here in Survivor, and he's just great casting. Period.
John Carroll is probably one of the best gay representations ever on Survivor,
which is crazy because it's like back in 2001 and he's still one of the best.
Oh, no question.
Period.
Next we have Miss Oh My Heck Nalia, 21 student from Utah. Is she Mormon?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you tell?
Duh, she's from Utah. Who else is from Utah? Come on.
Yeah, she feels like this is one of the few people. I do like Nalia, but this is one of the few cast members where I just feel like they are looking for a former player. Where it just to me, it's like okay, they were looking for an Elizabeth, and they found
Elizabeth. Yeah, the Colleen, the Elizabeth. Who was season 3? Was it Kelly Goldsmith or was it a Kim Powers?
Kim Powers was just like that girl that really is sweet.
Yeah.
She becomes America's sweetheart because she's just such a young ingenue and just. I mean, there's just not a lot to her. She's a nice girl, and she's really young and. I don't know. I'm excited to talk about Malia as we progress in the season.
Okay, next is my underrated, one of my favorites, Zoe Xanatakis, fishmonger from Maine. Love. Thoughts?
Okay, what I will say is that her boot episode is one of my all-time favorite boot episodes, period. She is someone who just is so random. And I won't spoil, but friendship bracelets are one of my favorite things.
They make a comeback. They make a comeback in Marquesas.
All who Zoe was there first with those friendship bracelets.
Amazing. And lastly, on the Road to Tribe, we have Robert, aka the General. He is a limo driver from Queens, New York.
I like the General. I think
that's my opinion.
I think he's fine, and
he's just there.
He's just there, and to me, he's kind of like one of my favorite people in Survivor. Actually, is Judd from Guatemala, and he kind of feels like a prototype Judd. Like we're kind of working towards that personality. Right. This is like the first step on our journey there.
Definitely, I don't think he kind of fits the mold. I don't know if he was a good casting choice, in my opinion. I don't think he really fit what they were looking for, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. He didn't fit it to me. Next, we have one of my favorite tribes in Survivor history because of how much of a hot mess this tribe is. The Mara Amu tribe, the Yellow tribe.
Brilliant.
It's hot mess, but you gotta love them because they're such a hot mess as a tribe. It's incredible. We'll start with Gina. She's a nature guide from Florida. I think she was a beauty queen. Didn't she like spit watermelons or something? Do you remember that? Like she used to like be like. She used to have a record for watermelon seed spitting. Says enough right there.
Wow. I like Gina. I think there's some really poetic storytelling with Gina here, just especially when it comes to the tribe swap. I think she's a little stank, which I also love. And we get to see her get some comeuppance, and I love that. What are your thoughts on Gina?
I think Gina's very sweet. She's there. She's fun. I think
you're underplaying Gina. Honestly.
To this day, she's one of Jeff Probst's like favorite spoiler early exits. So Jeff Probst still loves Gina to this day. I don't know why, but maybe he had the hots for her before Julie Berry. I don't know.
I love Gina because she is one half of one of my favorite pre-merge rivalries between she and Sarah.
Okay. Oh, for sure. The Sarah we will get to starting in this episode. Thank you very much. The next one we're going to talk about is one of my personal favorite survivors of all time is Sean Rector. I've been saying this all 3 seasons now. Sean Rector is a fighter.
Sean is great, and he's also just like hilarious. He is one of the funniest people we have ever seen on Survivor. So on top of everything that you just said, the fact that he's also just such a strong character while doing and saying all of these things he is top notch, and it's just such a shame that he has never returned to Survivor.
He will. It's gonna happen.
I think it will too.
We will get Sean back. Next is Rob Mariano, aka Boston Rob. This is Boston Rob's first appearance. He is a construction worker. Doesn't even say Boston. It said some other time, but it's Boston. We're just gonna say Boston. But what are your initial thoughts on a young Boston Rob?
You know what? Boston Rob, he's a character that I don't love, to be honest. He's not one of my favorite just characters in all of Survivor, but this is my favorite Boston Rob run. I think he is a cute boy here. Yes. He says some things that are regrettable, problematic, but he's also he has a really brilliant mind for Survivor that you could tell from the beginning. And I'm just excited to see kind of his growth through the season. And obviously, like when we're talking about Boston Rob, I think a lot of the stuff he says back in this season, he would probably regret saying today. I do believe that. Like, I think he's a different man than he is back in the Marquesas. But, I love his showmans with Sarah. It's one of my all-time favorite things.
We'll get to that for sure. Next is Sarah and Sarah's breasts. They're all 3 account managers from Newport Beach, California. So what's your thoughts on Sarah?
I live for this bitch.
She's incredible. She's incredible.
She is incredible.
She has the first of her archetype as well, I think. Her type of contestant.
Yes, I agree. We definitely start to see, especially in the teen Survivor, this model type girl that's just kind of a bop. But I love how pressed she has Gina and Hunter. She is just so funny and so clueless, and I love everything about Sarah.
Oh, for sure. Next, we have Vesepia. She's an office manager from Portland. I think Vesepia doesn't get the best edit, but she deserves better because her reads are so good. Like, she has her eyes open and she's watching the whole thing take place, and she is thinking steps ahead. Vesepia, great player.
Yeah, I agree with you. The edit isn't as large as I would have wanted, but I do think all of her edit, like if you're looking for it, it's all there. Like all of her confessionals are really brilliant. Yes, she disappears for some episodes, and that's not great, but just what she's able to accomplish here, especially towards that merge run. Oh, like that, you can't discount what she does here. She's incredible.
I'm excited to see what she offers here.
Yeah, the fact that she's the only Black female to win this game in 40 seasons. She did it in season 4.
Incredible, but
it's incredible, and it's also really depressing.
All right, we got 3 more here, and then we're on to the episode. So we got Peter, bowling operator, who loves all holes of the body, from Massachusetts. What are your thoughts on Peter? I think he's cuckoo for Cocoa Pops.
I love Peter. I think that it's incredible that he's our first male first boot.
Don't spoil.
Sorry. We're talking about. Okay, if you didn't watch Survivor, if you're watching Survivor as it's currently airing with this episode, he is not the first boot, but he is someone that loves holes. He's cuckoo, and I love how they portray yoga to be something like super other back in the early 2000s. It's like, oh my God, he does yoga, and it's like so weird. And now that's just like super normal. But yeah, Peter is a great first boot. Sorry, not spoiling it.
Amazing. That's
all he's really known for. He's really not a big character. Patricia she's fun in the second episode, and I can't wait to talk about her in the second episode. But other than that, she really does not do enough for me.
She doesn't.
I need more.
They misread it. And last but not least, we have Hunter, FedEx pilot from La Jolla, California. He's a stud. I mean, he is like sexy, like Top Gun pilot, and I'm all here for it. You know?
I love. And part of me kind of loving Hunter is knowing where his journey ends. Like if he was someone that made it really far, I would not feel the same way about him. But there's just so much great irony with Hunter and them just wanting him. Like they wanted him to be the next Colby, and they did not get that chance. So it's exciting. It
didn't happen. All right. Well, next we're gonna go start with the episode now. But in order to do that, we have to bring on our special guest today. So today, we're going to be having a good friend of mine. He is the owner of Aunt Jackie Productions and the home of the largest live reality game, Mayhem Manor. We have my friend, Neville. How you doing, Neville?
What's going on, everybody?
Hi, Neville. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Oh, we're so excited. What did you think of the first 2 episodes?
Yeah, I'm doing even better because, I got an extra 10 minutes because at the beginning of the podcast, I didn't have enough notes on the cast, so I got kicked off and I was put in the background. But, I episodes.
You are...
And go, okay?
I am so excited. We're so excited to have you on. But is there anyone looking at the cast that stood out to you going into the episode?
Well, so this is literally the first time I watched the season. And it surprised me when you asked me to watch the season because I was like, I've seen probably 36 seasons. This is one of the few that I haven't seen. So, of course, I'm watching, the first episode. I'm like, oh, let me pick out all the returnees. And where are they at? It's only Boston Rob and Kathy, right?
That's a great cast, though.
That was a big red flag for me just to start out with because I'm like, what happened where a lot of these people didn't come back? So that made me a little bit more intrigued to kind of see where the season goes for sure.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to learn a lot from this season that a lot of people should have gotten brought back but didn't. There's probably a good, I'd say 4 or 5 people on top of Rob and Kathy that deserve another chance, in my opinion. Sam, would you agree with that?
I know 2 of them based off the first 2 episodes, I think.
Oh, hands down, I will even spoil it. Vesepia deserves another chance. Sean deserves another chance. No question. On top of that, I would give Nalia and I would give John Carroll.
Okay. Yeah, and I think part of that goes back to the fact that this is cast by a different casting director.
Yeah.
This one season was cast not by Lynn Spillman.
Really?
Yes, she did not. Lynn Spillman did not cast Survivor Marquesas. Robin Cass did Survivor Marquesas. And I think that does affect kind of what happened to a lot of these players. Like, they just didn't have relationships with the people that were casting Survivor after this.
Yeah, it makes sense.
There we go. See, that was the missing piece I needed, Mr. Sam. You're on it. I knew it was something.
All right, guys. With that, we're going to start right off episode 1. It's the Back to the Beach season. Actually, this season was supposed to be in Jordan. I'm pretty sure it was taped around September 11th. But because of September 11th, they moved it back to the beach. And I don't think it's left the beach since that season. This is the first, they were like, we're done after Africa. We're done with the landmass. Now we're going back to the beach. So they get marooned. They're on some big fishing boat on the island of Marquesas. This season, the survivors are given no food. They're just given 2 machetes, a fillet knife, pots, pans, etc. Hardly anything. Maybe a magnifying lens to try and make a fire. It's Boston Rob's first season, as we were saying before. So it's cool to see a young, very handsome, somewhat problematic Boston Rob. Loving. They're each given these rafts, and they're set to make a 2-mile trek split up into their tribes, Maraamu and Rotu. We start off on the Rotu tribe. They haven't moved at all during their 2-mile trek or row. They're not doing too good doing it. Zoe's saying they were trying to get a rowing motions. They're doing their Rotu call, which you hear in the challenge as well. Kind of annoying. And they're actually the first to reach their camp. Pascal's thanking God. I think he's pretty religious. Go Pascal.
Mine really quick.
Yeah.
Because as they were rowing their way, it was that big call out of Sarah not doing anything.
Oh, that's what I'm on to. I'm on Maraamu's rowing. Sarah.
We're just talking about Rotu.
Oh, yeah. We're talking about Rotu right now.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm about to get into that right now because we get to Maraamu. They see the flag. They start heavy rowing. All 7 of them, but Miss Queen Sarah, who has her tits out, ready to go. Sean's quote: "Sarah's arrival was almost like Cleopatra, looking so marvelous with her boobs hanging out. The girl thinks she's on The Bachelor back in the day, or Bachelor pad, trying to get some D. Good for Sarah." What are your thoughts, Neville?
She started by saying row and stroke, and then that even died off, and she just was like, "Oh, bitch, I ain't gotta do nothing. It's to stand up and I'm like, this bitch could at least kept on saying row,
row, boobs, breasts, love. She is ready for Thanksgiving dinner. And what are your thoughts on Sarah's breasts?
What an amazing way to start the season. I love Sean when he's like, no one's trying to catch you like that. And Boston Rob has something else to say. He is trying to catch Sarah like that. It's great to see that. I love a good showman starting here, and I love a great entrance. Who doesn't love a great entrance?
And exactly. Speaking of Sean, though, he gets very emotional once they land on shore. He's never been in the ocean before. He said he's a city boy, never been there. This is all new, and he's thanking God for this experience. And Peter and him are having a little prayer break, and Boston Rob says they were definitely off their rockers. Of course, Boston Rob.
That was cringy for me, just because the 2 options he gave, he said either they're strategizing or they're off their rockers. Like, the fact that they just wanted to be religious for a second was not an option.
Let them be religious. I think this is This is a reason why Jeff Probst, I think, doesn't like the season, because there is a lot of religious tone to it. But I think it's cool. It's something different this season. They haven't done it before. I'm not going to judge a season on that. And I think it's respectful if someone wants to be religious. Let someone respect their religion. You know?
For me, as a person of color, that watches these shows and, doesn't really see a lot of representation of me, I do. And they do kind of talk about it a little bit in this episode, more so in the second episode. I do not care too much for the religious Black archetype. Just because that is typically, where that character goes all the time.
Yes.
So yeah, I was like, oh damn, but I mean, I'm glad that he's religious. I'm glad that he's, sticks to that. But I was a little bit also kind of like, ooh, okay, I guess so. But then I got to remember this is like 2001. So
yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was like, this is like 19 years ago. And I feel like the mainstream culture at that point hadn't even thought of that as like a stereotype,
But it's true though. Early day Survivor, the Black man was either labeled lazy or overly religious. And I think that's BS. Why don't you edit someone as who they are? You know what I mean?
But there's
there's so many other sides to him.
When there's only one each season, it kind of pigeonholes that. You get to have 5 nondescript, white girls. Like that's why I couldn't even do the damn passes. Only like 2 of them stood out to me. But then you have one, so he kind of gets put. But we can get into that. Later.
We'll get into it because Vesepia and him have a conversation, I think, in episode 2. Pretty sure. Yeah, and that was the good one. All right, we get back to row 2. They realize they have no food and minimal supplies. Their first goal is to get a fire. Kathy is right off the bat trying to make an effort to make it. Gabriel is saying Kathy is playing the role of Skipper from Gilligan's Island. And they basically don't have it the first night. Kathy is starting to be a little bossy. What are your guys' thoughts on Kathy rubbing people the wrong way right off the bat? Sam, we'll go to you.
Oh, I love you know what? Survivor does this all the time.
Without spoiling, Sam, without spoiling.
I will not say anything, but Survivor does this all the time, where there is one character, we see this all the time. They have a really rough first episode to later have a longer arc that is more redemptive.
You just can't help it.
You can just spoil. Sam, you can spoil. Just talk about what happens. It's okay. It's from 20 years ago. Go for it.
I love that she gets off on this wrong foot because it does set things up for things to come later. And she just can't help it. She just cannot help herself. And I love a character that just cannot help herself.
She's great.
So Kathy,
what are your thoughts?
Definitely looks like the first boot for episode 1. That's
hands
what
down.
That's what's being edited as. She's definitely going home this time if her tribe doesn't win. So at this point, I'm nervous for Kathy. Like, girl, I get it. Because, John gets mad that Kathy's asking for the fire again. And John goes off. And then 2 minutes later, he's over there. That put a fire under my butt. I'm going to make the fire. No, I just said, okay, Kathy, I get your point, and have done the fire without, making her seem like the villain, and then going to do what she asked in the first place.
Yeah, very true.
So I had a big problem with that, but if you're going to get on the show, at least do something. And Kathy gave them a lot of material on this first episode.
Yes, she did. She was there. Production pet, I think. Maybe production put her in as a little bit of a mole, maybe. I don't know, but she was great. Love Kathy. We get to Mara Amu. Hunter is starting to take control of leader with the fire. Gina, I'm already in love with Hunter. So we kind of have 2 showmances going on. We have Gina and Hunter. We also have Boston Rob and Sarah, which we'll get into in a little bit. Boston Rob's making fun of Hunter, saying that with the prevailing wind, Sean refers to him as MacGyver because he has too much energy. They start a fire basically because of this is the best part because Peter talks about breathing through yoga. So we start seeing some crazy Peter, and he creates the fire with all of his manly holes and yoga poses, creating the fire. Neville, what are your thoughts on what's going on, Maramu?
At this point, it looks like the Green Tribe is the stronger tribe. Yeah. Rotu to me doesn't look like the stronger tribe at this point. I'm getting into the Green Tribe. Hunter seems strong. Sean seems strong. Vecepia seems strong. Gina seems strong. I'm like, oh, this tribe is about to wipe Kathy old ass out of here. So at this point, that's what I'm seeing. But I'm also seeing that because the Blue Tribe has Kathy as this outlier that's just getting on everybody's nerves, it allows it allows for more harmony almost because the other 7 all have this common enemy. Whereas on the Green Tribe, Maramu,
yeah.
There's so many different ways it's splitting off into these different twos. You got Vecepia and Sean, you got Gina and Hunter, you got Rob and Sarah. It's splitting off in all these different ways. So that's actually what makes it more chaotic. Whereas if one of them was just an asshole, then we would have had, it would have been easier. But I think it adds for a better tribe dynamic, in my opinion.
I agree with that. Now, Sam, what are your thoughts on the Boston, Rob, and Sarah little romance that's starting and they go off on the raft at night?
I love a great showmance, and Vecepia has one of the best lines of I think all survivors so far. She said Sarah has a nice body and she paid a lot for it. Is that the quote?
If you haven't wanted, read. She had the library open for this.
The library was open and I lived for that. Sarah just loves to have her boobies out. She loves her bikini. Her hair coloring, it geeks me. It geeks me. It is so 2000s. And Boston Rob just eats it up.
Boston Rob is definitely sitting down for the Sarah Thanksgiving dinner. Okay.
Isn't it weird to see Boston Rob though with a different girl? Because he's so defined by Amber. I mean, no, but his whole thing is Amber. And so I just love seeing this early season. If Amber were to ever rewatch this, it would be game over. Boston Rob is all over.
It's the same thing though. If you notice in All Stars, he does the exact same thing with Amber.
I know, and then from that point on, it's always Amber. So it's fun to see him with another biddy here.
Y'all know they were fucking in a pre-jury house. Let's get real. They both make pre-jury. Rob and Sarah are doing it.
Oh my god, every night.
Come on. Yeah. Come on, Rob, Sarah, and both her breasts. Okay. I just like the word breasts. Last season with Kim Johnson talking about her breasts, and this season Sarah's breasts. It's who's gonna be season 5?
Here's what you got to get what you want.
Yes. So we get over to row 2. They need their water source. They go, they find it, and they discover their water source is a giant waterfall and lake. Neville, what would you say if you saw that as your water source?
We have water.
It's incredible. They have a waterfall. They get this whole beach. Mara Amu has this nothing, basically. You know what I mean?
I would be grateful, and I think that Rotu just cares way too much about the survival aspect of the game, and not about the personal connections and the actual voting aspect of the game. They're so concerned about shelter and food and water and this and that, and I get it because they ain't get shit, but and I guess it works a little bit, but I personally, I'm not gonna give a damn where the damn water coming from. You come on, let's go grab some sticks. You know what I mean? I don't care.
Okay, well, I'll finish off at row 2. Basically, Kathy's ordering everyone they need to make fire. Kathy and John get into somewhat of an argument. She starts crying that she doesn't have any support. John, starts a fire as an apology, and does it, as you were talking about earlier, Neville. And then that's basically the finishing of row 2. It's basically like Kathy in the fire, blah, blah, blah. So we get over to Mara Amu, and this is actually a funny segment about Crazy Peter. That's what I'll call him. Peter and Sean are talking. Peter's like, it's nice to have a real conversation with people. And I put in like in a whatever, saying apart from when you're being creepy. So he said something about mastering every hole in your body, how you urinate, how you go to the bathroom. Peter's creepy. Rob Mariano refers to him as a Fruit Loop. Now, I don't know if that was like a gay thing or if he's being like Zach from Big Brother saying Fruit Loop dingus. I don't know. Neville, what are your thoughts on this?
So I definitely started to take notes. I want to go watch what the episode title was, because it should have been Beware of Your Holes. And I know I personally started to check all my holes while he was talking, and just to let everybody know, everything is great over here. But I actually was intrigued, but it's almost misleading, because when he says, "Oh, I was sitting down with Sean and we actually had real conversation," so in my brain was prefaced like, "Oh, they're about to talk about, something social, some social economic thing," and then he was like, "Then people come over." The first red herring was you couldn't hear the conversation. The audio was so bad. The water was splashing up all over the place. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, why is this quality so bad? But he wasn't talking about anything, and it wasn't. And he was talking, so I'm like, "Oh no, poor Peter." Yeah. Wrong road.
It was Sam. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I love classic. I love the 7 holes. I also was like counting. I was like 1, 2, 3. Like that was it was hard to me. But I also just love Boston Rob's just like total just like hand face of just like I felt like for a second. Yeah, I felt like for a second I was like watching The Office or something. I was like it felt very like Dwight, and I don't know. I love Peter. I think he's such a weird man. And
yeah.
it's just great to see a weird man.
Entertaining though. I'm entertained with how crazy he is.
Yeah, like I only like him because he's here for one episode.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would have liked him for more. And he's just not all there. And it's a great one hit. I get one episode of Peter being weird. He's known for talking about holes, and that's about it.
Oh, definitely. All right, guys. So we get in from there into our first immunity challenge. Each tribe has a canoe with 2 torches attached to it. They must take the canoe down the beach and swim it down the water to light their 2 torches. Then they turn around and come back. They need to light 4 walk torches in the water. Then from there, they have to get all the way to shore, and then it's a sprint down the beach to light the final torch. So the first to do that wins. It's a fun challenge. It's kind of similar to the first challenge in Borneo that they did, lights or fire or whatnot. It's very similar to that. Looks kind of hard with like the way the waves are going. Like those waves were serious during it. They really get tied up at first. Maramu gets water in their torch. They start halfway through, they just screw up. Row 2 kind of takes the lead in the water, and then it's just not even a race. Row 2 kills them towards the end of it. Row 2 comes up on top. Neville, what are your thoughts on the immunity challenge?
I thought it was terrible. I am I don't care too much about the challenges going into episodes. Like I'm kind of like, oh, I want to see more social. But this was the first time that I realized I watched 30 minutes of just talking before we even got to a challenge. And then challenge, there wasn't too much intriguing to it. So it gave me a better appreciation for the challenges that we now get in these seasons, because the challenge, I mean, it just was like, whatever. They won.
It's working. Yeah. Sam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think in these early seasons, I never thought I would say this, but I do miss like some Jeff narration, because like there's just like periods where it's just kind of like humdrum and kind of boring. And I think he like has gone overboard with narration in modern seasons, but like there does need to be like more people kind of telling you what's happening, other than like Chiron saying row 2 leading, and then obviously it's just going to keep being row 2 leading. I like that it's water. I feel like after just watching Survivor Africa, it's nice to kind of see some blue water. I like water challenges. I like that it's filmed at night. I think it's really pretty. But yeah, it is just kind of waiting for it to be over. That's how I feel about a lot of these early challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And that's really the challenge with that. It's fun. I like it. It's still old school on that. But at the end of the day, row 2 kills it. Maramu Hot Mess Express Tribe is going to tribal. Shock. Whoops. Spoiler alert. But yay for Kathy. She's not the first boot, everybody. She lives another day. Amazing. All right. So Amara Amu, Patricia thinks she's in trouble. Gina's saying Peter got on her nerves. So it's kind of in between 3 people. Patricia for being the weakest on the tribe, or seen to be the weakest. We got Sarah, who's slutting it up on Mara Amu. And then we got Peter, who is just cuckoo doodle doo. But at the end of the day, they go to tribal, and Vesepia mentions Hunter has stepped up to be the leader. Peter has never felt more comfortable before, which is ironic because the votes come in. We get 1 vote for Patricia, 2 votes for Sarah, and Peter is voted out. Neville, what are your thoughts?
Wrong vote. It was the wrong vote, in my opinion. The tribe should have definitely got rid of, at that point, Sarah, I think, would have been the right vote to go for, especially for players like Hunter. They should have definitely made sure they cut that Sarah Rob thing early. Peter, he wasn't going to bust a grape. He wasn't going to smash a fly. And he also is strength and challenges. So, it was the wrong vote. Patricia should have went, or Sarah should have went. Peter going first. It was voting based on emotion, and well, we'll see where that gets them.
Yeah. Sam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Sarah should have been the boot for Hunter and Gina. I think you see how powerful of a pair Rob and Sarah become in the tribe going forward. And, I think Patricia should have been the consensus boot. I don't think voting out someone like Peter, and these challenges are really physical. And Peter is a strong man.
Yeah.
I think you start to see kind of the road to just becomes way more physically dominant than Marama going forward. I do think it starts here.
They should have voted out, I think, Patricia first. First boot should have been Patricia.
That collective.
I agree.
Yeah. Maybe Sarah is the second boot, I think, but I agree. Sarah at least is like a young girl that can be somewhat fit. I mean, yes, she at least has 2 flotation devices for the tribe. You know what I mean? So,
however, I'll say this: I am not against a white man going home first. No offense, guys.
Amen. No,
I agree with that.
I'm all good with that. I'm all good with it. No, I would vote a white man out first if I was playing. Truthfully,
absolutely.
Let's go to Big Brother next season.
If you're gonna do it, then vote Hunter or Bob or Rob's ass out first. Then don't vote Peter ass out. Peter trying to be woke over here. Get one of these toxic masculinity guys out.
Yeah.
Hey, if we get to Big Brother next season, and I'm somehow on it, I'm voting out all the white men first. All y'all can go. Bye. And it's just me and all the women. I'm cool with that. And people of color.
I don't endorse that message, but
that's what I want.
I might not be mad at it.
That's what I would do, because I'm not letting another white man win Big Brother again. Not happening. I'll sacrifice myself.
Oh, please.
Goodbye. Goodbye, Jackson on drugs.
First Hunter he sees.
Bye, Hunter. No, I'm kidding. We all saw the clip of Jackson now admitting that he's on Xanax and cocaine before the show. Bye, Robin Cass. Have a nice day. See you never.
Episode 2.
Bye, Robin Cass. We loved you never. Bye.
They say, hey,
bring
Robin,
on the.
Hey, Robin. Next season we're going to need some diversity. She said, you know what?
Okay, bye.
I don't think this is the job for me.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do that.
Sorry, the only contestant that I know is Aaron Grease. Sorry, I can't be working anymore.
I am dead.
They should have fired her ass after season 15. Let's keep going. All right, with that, Peter is the first boot. We get into episode 2. Road 2 tribe starts. They're bonding well as a tribe. Gabriel, this is most definitely the love shack. But Kathy isn't trying to be one of us. Kathy is totally an outsider still, and I'm loving every second of her. I am. She's great. She's like sleeping by herself. She's not even joining the tribe. She's the odd man out. Also, you have the general starting to get sick. And then the other thing they're doing is they're building a bunch of like food catching things, like pigs spears and shrimp catchers. And John's like, if I catch a pig, I will set my table up to final four. Love that cockiness. Sam, what are your thoughts of row 2 going into episode 2?
Oh, I love it. And I love just the cockiness from John Carroll. It's like building and building and building. And you know what? Kathy I never really made this connection before, but she literally is the same character as Holly from season 21, Nicaragua.
Yes.
They start off on such a bad foot. Holly throws the shoes into the water, and then slowly, they work their way back in. But I love Kathy. I love she just will not stop. She will not stop until she gets the food, until she builds the fire, she redoes the shelter. We have a lot of Kathy to come in this episode.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Kathy's great. She's good TV. We all know this, guys. She's legendary. She's legs and dairy. Let's go. Okay?
Yeah.
So we have the Mara Amu tribe. They're given a weather report, the news show, which I love. It gets even better as the episodes progress. Hunter is the weather reporter. We have Rob doing food review. I forgot Sam, do you remember what I think Vesepia does one in a later episode. Do you remember that?
I don't know what she does.
She's giving the tea or something.
Was like the overall host.
Yeah, she's the overall host. Neville, what are your thoughts on what's going on? We also have, Patricia being known as Mama around camp, ordering everybody else. Her getting lathered by Hunter and sunscreen. Neville, what are your thoughts?
I have a big issue with women being called mom or mama or mother. Older women can't seem to shake that. But again, I have to remember 2001. But Patricia, at first, in the beginning of the episode, they're all like, oh, she's out of her shell. We're so happy that she's working and she's so cool. And it immediately, like in 2 hours, turns to she's annoying and she's bossing us around. And I think what it is, when we get in our 20s, that mid-20 area, we don't want anyone telling us what to do because we think we got it all figured out. So Patricia, being that older lady in this tribe of, mainly 20-somethings, it's getting on everyone's nerves except for Hunter, who, what's his age? He seems a little older.
30. I think he's 30. He's younger than I am now.
That makes perfect sense because Hunter is the only one not really too bothered by it. And it's these younger people who are like, nobody tell me what they gotta do. Yeah, so I'm just like, Patricia, this ain't it, babe.
Ooh.
And you have to be doing something. Like, don't keep on saying what needs to be done and not really do it. Because like, girl, just do it, So yeah.
For sure. Okay, so we have row 2. Kathy's finding shells similar to mussels. John says she's being abrasive. She's still at the bottom, so there's really nothing new that we haven't been talking about there. Back to my oh yeah.
I had something during that segment though. I had a quote.
Yeah.
When Kathy brings the food and she holds it first because she wants everyone's attention before she releases it. And cute guy with the hair, is that Gabriel?
Yes.
Gabriel says, hey, look, I know you want a shelter. I know you care about all this stuff, but he says this is an adventure, not just a hardship. And I thought that was so important because
for her storyline too.
Yes. However, again, he rips into Kathy about wanting a better shelter. And then minutes later, he goes and makes a better shelter. Because Kathy isn't wrong.
Right.
She is just an outlier, and it's easy to villainize her so she could be the easy vote. But what she's saying and what she's doing isn't right. Everybody does need roles. everybody don't need to be doing the same thing. If Kathy getting seashells, then your motherfucking ass needs to weave some bamboo. And
yes.
So I really liked that quote from Gabriel because it was really important because this is an adventure, not just a hardship, but at the same token, there are things that need to be done. And again, the same thing that happened to her in episode 1 happened again. Poor thing.
I agree. Poor Kathy, but like she's growing and she really is one of my favorite people on the season. She's incredible. She really is. She's a good person. She's kind of misunderstood and similar. She reminds me of Lex from last season, misunderstood. And I think Lex is misunderstood in Africa as well.
Maybe that's
so
why connected in All Stars.
Yep, that's why, because they're both the same placement, similar archetype that they get villainized for doing normal things.
Yeah, now it makes sense because I never saw Kathy first season. My first time seeing her was All Stars. So now,
Oh, definitely.
You know what Neville said about the Maramo tribe being in the 20s is that really resonated with me because to me it feels like the Rotu tribe is just all a bunch of people in their 30s and they're like super militant, and that's what it feels like. There's like they take no prisoners, they work all day long, and it's interesting. Like both of the older women are outcasts, but for completely different reasons on the different tribes.
If you notice in Survivor Palau, it's go ahead, Neville.
Great.
Yeah, if you guys notice in if you guys notice in Survivor Palau, the Oolong tribe is mainly in their 20s, and the Karora tribe is there's a few 20-something-year-olds, but the majority are like late 20s, early 30s and above. And what tribe dominates? It's that tribe.
No,
our original tribes are actually done.
Well, Survivor Palau, they picked their tribes, but they randomly did this one.
Well, production like squatted them. Not random. It's not like a bag. Like I think production
puts them together.
Yeah, they put them together based on kind of personality tests they make the contestants take. And I agree. I do think if you were to switch Kathy and Patricia, I think they would have worked way better. And I think that's why they're not on those other tribes.
Very true. All right, so we get over to Maraamu, and this is a discussion we are starting to have earlier. This is the one where we have Sean and Vecepia bonding as both people of color. They're one of the most underrated alliances of all time, in my opinion. And Sean Meaner are playing a whole other mental game, and they don't even know they have the strongest bond because of that. And you notice they're having this conversation on the beach while everyone else is in the water, and it's a strong bond. Neville, what are your thoughts?
So, of course, I resonated with it. It's difficult. It's almost easier when you're a person of color to be the only person of color. If it's not going to be a more balanced, like even split, it being 2 is like really, really, really difficult because you automatically get coupled together. You automatically do it without, just naturally you do it. You have more in common. You feel like you could be yourself more. You can talk to someone about what they're feeling. However, that extra mental game that he was saying is so true because sometimes it's like, oh, let's overthink this and not talk and split up. And it's just like, we have to do all these other steps. Sarah ain't giving a damn that she up underneath Rob. And therefore, Gina ain't giving a damn that she underneath Hunter. And Sean have none of that going on. But it's still like they have to overthink them even being next to each other when bitches are sleeping on top of each other and not worrying about it.
Very true.
So I like that they had the conversation. I was definitely worried in that moment because I'm like, fuck, hopefully Patricia keeps on getting on everyone's nerves because I didn't want, Vecepia or Sean to end up being a target because they were a pair when you have, 2 other pairs frolicking around.
Right. And my thing about Vecepia and Sean, why I love them is, spoiler alert, they make it basically all the way to the end together. Like final 5 is when they make it, and it's incredible. And I think it's like, this is a really big season, I think, for representation of the Black community in Survivor. I think it's huge for that because I really think both Vecepia and Sean looked at probably past seasons of representation and were like, no, that's not going to happen this season. And in the past, you get Jervis labeled as the lazy guy. You have Ramona as the sick girl. You have Alicia with the finger waving. Like, you have these bad representations that are stereotypes. And I think Sean and Vecepia were like, no, we're going to do something different this season. I think they fought really hard for that. Do you agree?
I gotta like really watch my words here.
Yeah, go for it. No, that's what this is.
Yes and no, because Vecepia and Sean also have never been brought back.
True.
And that adds to it because they probably, weren't really themselves, to be honest, or 100% authentically themselves.
Yeah.
I feel like Sean definitely is and was, but he's also, in my opinion, overcompensating and hitting a lot of different marks with every conversation.
For sure.
When people of color go onto these shows, we feel like we have to represent, people of color. It's when Hunter goes on there or Rob, but they're not like, oh, I'm representing all white men. They get to play without that. So I would love to see them both come back, but Vecepia is not respected as a winner. And I wouldn't say, well, we could say she won. Everybody knows all the winners. But because maybe she just wasn't as dynamic of a character as she could have been. Sean in the first episode, within 15 minutes, had 7 confessionals. Like, what the fuck? That's a lot. But
he should. Sean should have been brought back 100%. No question. He, to this day, he needs. I think that Sean will get brought back eventually. I think it's going to happen probably soon.
Does
I think
he want to do it? No.
I'm sure. But I don't know. I don't know Sean. But hey, Sean, if you want to do Couch Potato Queens, you can let us know. No, I'm kidding. But I feel like he would, and I think Sean would do well. I think Sean could potentially win the game. To this day.
He'll do terrible.
You think so? No, I think he'd do really well.
I think he'd do terrible. But I haven't seen the season yet. This is me 2 episodes of Sean.
Okay, all right.
I do want to say something. I think
So
I think Sean and Vecepia, I think us looking at these conversations between them two, and they have many more of these conversations to come, they were perceived very differently back in 2001 than they were today. Like today, I think we could look at them and say like, oh my gosh, they are really kind of hitting something in terms of representation and reality television, especially. Back then, it really was not seen that way. I think Sean was really seen as someone who was a complainer by the white audience and someone that they just, was, it didn't make sense to them at all what he was saying. And I think because of that, I know Probst did not really take to Sean that much. And I know Sean's talked a lot about recently how at that time, right after Survivor, he was a big name coming out of Marquesas, and CBS and Jeff Probst, like, they kind of purposely kind of torpedoed a lot of his contract deals after Survivor Marquesas. And so I think he knew that he wasn't going to come back for All Stars. And, I think as more time goes along and more people watch Survivor Marquesas and we see what Sean is talking about, and, yes, that sometimes I do think he's going a little too far and saying just so many things, but he has so much kind of wisdom and he's so kind of ahead of where the narrative is 20 years ago. And I don't know if he'd be the best player, but I'm dying to see him come back as, a 2021, 2022 version of himself and see how they were able to portray him on reality television, because I want to see what the Survivor editors can do with him. I want to see that.
He had to crawl so that players now can walk.
I agree. Yes.
Run. So, I appreciate what him and Vecepia did. And I agree with Sam. I would love to see what the revised version of Sean is. And I also have to finish the season. So, I don't have any.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that Vecepia calls Sean Malcolm X here,
Militant.
Yes, militant. And I think, in some ways, at that time, it's part of that time. At the time, he was not seen as someone that was very respected by the audience, someone that was kind of a complainer to the audience. And now we look back and we say, wow, he did do a lot, I think, for Black representation to come. And hopefully, with what he's doing in the last year with Rob's podcast and other great channels, he's really speaking up about diversity and Survivor casting, and he's part of the push. He's part of the reason why Survivor is now doing that 50% plus.
Big part.
He's a big part of that.
It was like him and Jatia, right? They were the two main ones.
He was a big part of that. Like these are people that played 20 years ago.
Well, I'll invite him to Mayhem Manor.
Okay.
We actually have reality stars this time. I actually have, from a couple of shows.
Are you allowed to say who?
We've released Ronnie Talbot so far from.
Okay, Ronnie. Oh, he'd be fun to play with.
Yeah. So, and then there are some others. I can't release them yet. But
is there a Survivor contestant?
I'm not giving no hints.
It'll be fun. All right, guys.
Friend list or whatever. Look at it now. I'm not giving no hints. No.
I mean, so our viewers, Neville hosts a reality competition that's a live competition called Mayhem Manor. If you want to plug it really quick, you can talk about it for.
I know we're in the middle of episode 2, but yes, commercial break. So I'm going on my 4th season. It started a few years ago. We bring people from all over the world. There's been people from Canada, Australia, all East Coast, West Coast. They come to Florida, and it's an entire vacation experience. We pick you up from the airport. You come, we cook for you the entire weekend. You compete the entire weekend. You vote each other out. But when you get voted out, don't be sad, because you're actually on like a 52-acre estate with themed bedrooms. You got alcohol, you got hot tubs, you got everything going on. So the winner gets like $600. It's a lot of fun, lots of drama. The game lasts for half the day. The other half, everybody just gets drunk and is a hot mess. It's a fully staffed vacation experience, so it's like an adult retreat, and it's for reality TV show fans. And going on the 4th season this year in October. We've already started casting, so head over to the Facebook page. But yeah, we started.
And we'll post the link. We're going to post the link at the bottom of the video. So if you're watching, it will be there. The link for you to go apply, join the Facebook group, all of it. So
yes. So definitely come check it out. We actually have some big names this year, and we kind of run it like the challenge. So people who have played, Mayhem Manor season 1, season 2, season 3, they're coming back. We got newbies, we got reality stars, and it's a hot mess.
Amazing.
Love it.
I'm excited to see more. There you go. All right, so we get back to the episode, y'all. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna go through this quick for the rest of this. We're gonna zoom through it. But reward challenge is kind of a classic challenge that they've done a few times. Each tribe has a boat that is buried at the bottom of the ocean with 250 pounds of rocks covering it. The tribe needs to dive down, get the rocks out of the boat, bring it to the top, and then get the water out of the boat, bail it out, and paddle to the front and take your boat and get to the finish line, basically, to get to the front. So this is a challenge you did in All Stars as well. And you notice how row 2 is the one that come up with the smart idea to all dive down and bring the rock and kind of push the boat, get the rocks all out at once, and that helps them get the lead. So row 2 really wins the challenge. You get to the immunity challenge as well. It sucks, but hey, once again, row 2 wins again. It's a gross food challenge. They're bobbing for Fafaru, and that stuff looks disgusting. Basically, what Fafaru is, it's like cut pieces of fish, basting in like water that's been sitting out in the sun for 3 days. It just literally probably smells like an outhouse. It's disgusting. Nalia and Rob Mariano are the ones who have a really rough time with it. It ties. They do a tiebreaker. Rob Mariano has a hard time in the tiebreaker. Nalia kicks his ass. Row 2 wins again. Neville, would you eat Fafaru?
Food, and clearly that's what it was to do. Like the challenge, I was so confused because the first person would finish, and then we'll still be just watching the other person eat. I'm like, why are they eating? And it's because, everybody gets a point. You get a point. You get a point. You get a point. You get a point. Oh, we need a tiebreaker. So I don't think the challenge was too well thought out. I think they thought that maybe people wouldn't eat it, but you've been starving them. And obviously it's a delicacy, so it wasn't absolutely terrible. So yeah, I thought the challenge was terrible, but at least they got to eat.
Hey, there you go. Sam, what are your thoughts on the challenge? Is there anything that stands out? Immunity challenge, Fafaru, reward challenge?
Well, Josh, what do you think is potentially grosser? Is it this, or is it the cow's blood in Africa?
Oh, this is more disgusting. The cow's blood, Lindsay said the cow's blood was like, they loved it. They loved the cow's blood. They were like, this was perfect. It gave them it was like taking a shot of energy, basically. She said it was like the best thing she had out there. That's what Lindsay said. So they loved it. They thought it would
Okay, yeah. Then this is probably way worse, and I agree with Neville. I think that they are still like testing how to do gross food, and they're just doing it for completion at this point. And it's better when it's time because who wants to like sit and watch both people eat something that they're going to eat? Like it's kind of boring.
For sure. So
everybody gets a
all right, next we get to Maramu Tribe. Vesepia, Sarah knows she's in it for the ride. She's just a number, basically. She's Rob's little pet. Hunter and Gina want to target Sarah. Rob is debating. He's like, if Sarah goes, I need to make the decision either to join Hunter or work with Sean and be a mess. And Rob and Sean basically, I think, make an alliance here. I think this is where they come together and they're like, we're going to work together. And they're deciding really if Patricia Mama should go for being the weak link or Sarah should go for being a blow up doll. So they have to make their decision. We get to tribal council. Hunter and Gina and Patricia vote for Sarah. The other 4 vote for Patricia, aka Mama. Patricia is voted out second. Sam, what are your thoughts on Patricia going out second?
Well, I love that it was a split tribe. I think there was a little bit of a blind side here, which I appreciate back in season 4, where there wasn't much of that going around. I think that Boston Rob really starts to go on hyperdrive here because, he's the reason why they lost. And so this is where you kind of really see the Boston Rob experience really start to take off. He narrates the entire sequence of them back at camp. He is like the mob boss, basically. He's like mob boss in training at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of just interesting to see him get his feet under him. And he really does have a unique mind for this game, which is later on in Survivor, I kind of doubt Boston Rob's abilities, especially after season 40 was just kind of a mess. But back here, you can see he really does have a mind for this game, and he really knows how to build numbers. And I just love that. I find it weird that they were voting. Literally, the votes at Tribal Council were Mom and Mama, which is just bizarre to me. It really kind of freaked me out a little bit. I love a good blindside. So what can I say?
Amazing. All right. Neville, what are your thoughts on Mama going? Patricia.
I wrote The Birth of Boston Rob.
Yes.
Was the birth of him really figuring out. I said Bob loses the challenge and his name didn't come up. He made the decision at this point to, not lose Sarah, because if he went with Hunter on this vote, Sarah was next, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
It was not going to be, any ifs, ands, or buts about it. Even if for this vote he would have got them to maybe vote Sean, Sarah would have been afterwards. So he was going to lose Sarah if you decide to ride with Hunter. So this was the best way for him to go. Amazing to me. I can tell right now Hunter and Gina realize that it's a wrap for them, because clearly at this point, this was the deciding vote. But yeah, Mom annoyed the hell out of me. Write weird. My damn name down. Trisha, I would still be sitting at tribal right to this day.
All I just remember is Hunter lathering up her pits. Okay, that's all I'm like, give me that sunscreen, baby. No, it's no, Mass.
If I don't see Pat or Patricia, I don't know if the Sepia got kids. I don't know if Sarah got kids.
She could have kids. Sarah does have 2 children. Both her tits. Okay. They look like children. Okay, those are big. They cock destroyers. Okay. But you know what? To me, it's it's the origin story. Marquesas is the origin story for Boston Rob. Boston Rob doesn't truly become Boston Rob until All Stars. Mm-hmm. That's where we see Boston Rob really become who he is. But this is the Batman or the Joker origin story, really, is Marquesas, because he's not on that long in this, but he makes a presence that it's I want to see more of this guy.
Yeah.
I want to see more. We're not sick of him at this point.
I think what we also see here in this vote that, people need to, that's why it's so important for people to study old seasons. It's so important to have at least one other person that is with you and that you're tied to, because Patricia was also, the result of that. Everyone in her tribe was in a duo. And, if her and Peter were a duo, maybe that could have changed some things, in that first vote. But, she ended up just kind of being that one without the duos. In every conversation, nobody was really going to truly stick their neck out for her. So yeah, 2 duos just teamed up and got her out, which is unfortunate. She could have been seen more as a number, but when you don't have a duo, that's what happens. So
amazing.
bye, Mom.
Yeah.
All right, with that, we are going to head into our tops, bottoms, and hot mess express for the rounds. So we're gonna start. We're gonna start for our top player. You can pull this out, Neville. You're fine. You don't even have to think about it. It's just what comes to your mind. So top player, my top player for the 2 rounds is who we just discussed. I would say Boston Rob is my top player of the first 2 rounds. He really starts playing the game. He's the only one that's like truly playing the game right now. He's thinking ahead 2 spots. He's thinking, I'm going to work with Sean. I'm going to pull in Sarah. He knows the game and he's not scared to play it. He might be like 24 or 23 years old, but he's playing smart at this point in time with what he has. Sam, who is your top player?
I'll just say someone different. I agree with Boston Rob. He's probably the top player this week, but I do think John Carroll sets himself up really nicely here on the Road to Tribe. His mistakes do not come until later, and so I think in terms of positioning, he is the core of that tribe, and he has a very tight kind of circle around him. So I think he has done really great things, especially for being a gay man in this game. Just look at how Brandon was treated last season. For John Carroll to really be at the center of the Road to Tribe, I think is very powerful in terms of his playing capabilities as well. So I'm going to say John Carroll.
Perfect. Neville, who's your choice?
My top is actually going to be Sarah.
Yes.
Yes. I think it's absolutely amazing when someone decides to be themselves and it works. Sarah was not there, trying to portray something that she wasn't, and she just did what she had to do, and it ended up putting her in a great spot. And so I like the authenticness of her character, and I like that it's worked out for her. And yeah, and I saw the first 3 minutes of the next episode, so I love when she comes back to the camp and she's like,
yes.
Yeah.
I will say
Sarah
is one of those people that I think you could put her on any reality television show and she will be a good character no matter what. I don't say that about most people, but Sarah is one of those people that could really turn it no matter what show she's on. Period.
Yeah. All right, let's go to bottom player. Neville, who is your bottom player for the round?
For these 2 episodes, unfortunately, I'm going to have to give it to Kathy. Because when you do the same thing and expect different results, that's insanity. And she did the same thing in episode 1 that she did in she did the same thing in episode 2 that she did in episode 1. And yeah, sweetheart, you got to read the room. I get that you're right, but had they lost either one of these 2 challenges, she would be gone. She would have never been back from All-Star. She would have never been a legend. So because the other tribe was just such a hot mess in challenges, that's why she's still here. And when you're only relying on challenges, especially tribal ones, especially when people love to throw challenges to get rid of people, yeah, Kathy is a terrible player in these first 2 episodes, period.
Very true. I would also say Kathy. I think Kathy definitely is playing bad. She's outcasting herself, not staying with the tribe. I agree. Full on Kathy. Sam, who are you going to say? You going to agree with us or disagree?
I'll just say someone different. I'm going to say Hunter just because he loses the game here. This is where this second round is where he completely loses the game. He's the type of man on this show that is set up to succeed. Survivor and all the producers, everyone they cast around someone like Hunter, they set people like Hunter up to go very far, and he just lets the game completely kind of escape him in this round, and he never recovers. So I'm going to say Hunter.
Yeah, very true. All right, now we're going to get to our Hot Mess Express. I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to give Hot Mess Express to Sarah's bikini, everybody, because that poor bikini had to hold so much breast. It was like a bucket of KFC in those breasts, honey. Okay, so Sarah's bikini, Hot Mess Express. Sam, who's your Hot Mess Express?
I'm going to give it to Kathy. I love that she doesn't want to be the blonde bitch, but she is really she cannot help herself. She is a hot mess. And we live for her. We live.
Neville, who's your hot mess express?
My hot mess express is my 8th hole that I cannot find.
It's your belly button.
And Peter,
Peter's holes.
It's all these holes everywhere. And yeah, I'm going to give it to Peter and the holy conversation.
Amazing. Well, back to Sarah's breast. That leads us to our game today. So our game today is a subjective challenge. It is called Fafaru or Sarah's breasts. So what I'm going to do is one by one, we're going to alternate. I'm going to give you each a Survivor contestant or someone else. I have a RuPaul's Drag Race contestant in here too. And you're going to tell me subjectively, would they be considered Fafaru or Sarah's breasts?
Okay.
So you tell me, okay? So we're going to start with you, Sam. Is Richard Hatch considered Fafaru or Sarah's breasts?
I think Richard Hatch wants to be Sarah's breasts, but I think Richard Hatch is Fafaru.
Neville, you're going to get Parvati Shallow. Is Parvati Shallow Fafaru or Sarah's breasts?
I'm gonna definitely give Parvati Sarah's breast. Sarah again crawled so that Parvati could walk.
Yes. Amazing, very true. Okay, we're gonna get Sam. You're gonna get Jerry Manthe. What about Jerry Manthe?
Oh, I think in the minds of the Australian Outback cast, she is Fafaru, but to me, she is Sarah's breast.
Amazing. All right, Neville. What about Sandra Diaz-Twine?
Okay. I, for respect of Sandra, cannot give Sandra Sarah's breasts. That doesn't even equate to her greatness in my book. So I'm going to give her Fafaru because it's a delicacy.
All right. Okay. Sam, you're going to get Alyssa Edwards.
Oh, I feel like Alyssa Edwards is a combination of the both. That's what it feels like to me. She thinks she's a delicacy. She is the camp of Sarah's breast. She is all of the above. An acquired taste, you may say, but one that we love.
All right, Neville, I'm giving you the best one. The queen of season 13. I'm giving you Miss Simone. What would Simone be?
Well, Simone automatically gets Fafaru because she does not even wear a breastplate. So
she's not breast, honey. She's leg. She's a leg, not a breast.
She is against Sarah's breast, baby. She is giving you no breast, flat-chested black woman realness. Okay. What did Elliot T say? That not aggressive, black girl magic, not aggressive.
I was like, she's not breast, she's legs, honey. She's giving me legs for days. She gives you the 12-piece leg. That's what she's giving. Amazing. All right.
She's the whole
All right, with that concludes our episode for today. Neville, tell everyone where they can find you on social media.
Yes, so you can definitely head to my Instagram. I'm so not good at keeping up with this stuff, but I am a Facebook legend, okay? I love Facebook. I'm there all the time, so find me at Dvaughn Neville. You can also join the Facebook group right now, right this second. Aunt Jackie Productions, home of Mayhem Manor. We do our cast reveals. We also shoot other reality shows and post the episodes to those. When we're doing our season in Florida, you can watch it live from the Facebook group and shout out who you're rooting for. So it's a really fun time. And it's a nice little community. We're almost at 2,000 members. So I'm super excited to have you all join. So please, please, please head on over. And I'll post a link to this podcast there as well.
Yes. All right. And Mr. Sam, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at Sam Henson 24. That's my name spelled right there, Josh.
I told you it was a mess up last time, honey. Okay. All right. And then you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Mendels8. And you can follow the Couch Potato Queens on Twitter at Couch Potato Queens. It's Couch Potato QWNZ. You can also follow our Facebook group, the Couch Potato Queens Podcast. Make sure to give us a like. Everyone like, comment, share, subscribe to our channel. And always remember to outwit, outlast, and outgay Henny. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Bye.